of the London Center for Policy Research, Colonel Tony Schafer, and the senior fellow at the America First Policy Institute, Ken Timmerman. So, Colonel Schafer, let me start with you. How can the U.S. translate its current leverage into an ironclad deal in Islamabad that actually stops the Iranian aggression and has verifiably the ability to end uranium enrichment?
Well, I think that's the issue, as Reagan said, trust but verify. We have to have physical access to the actual facilities. There's been some rumors about special operations reconnaissance, so I think we have probably a pretty good idea of where it's stored or what's left of it. And I think that's going to be a key thing. The other thing is obviously is demilitarization of the IRGC. The IRGC cannot have access or develop ballistic missiles or drones. Clearly, those drones have been used against the Israelis and our allies. So I think those are the two military requirements that have to be met. The third and probably most important requirement is going to be the Strait of Hormuz.
Right.
And I do believe, Edie, I'm hopeful, but I have my doubts. By this time next week, we may be in possession of Carg Island and both sides of the Strait of Hormuz if Iran decides to not negotiate in good faith.
Yeah, I did notice that was the last minute strike we did on Carg Island right before the sanctions, before the ceasefire went into effect. So, Ken, let's stick with the Strait of Hormuz. You know, under international law, the strait is free, open to all global shipping. But Iran is basically, in my opinion, set up a toll booth. They're charging ships a reported $2 million each to pass, money that obviously then flows right back into the regime. Further, Iran's deputy foreign minister said that Iran placed sea mines in the water and that these ships need Iran to guide them safely through. So other than our negotiators, who is in a position to stop Iran?
Well, you've just hit the nail on the head. The Iranians have changed the passage. Instead of going through what was the international passage in the Strait of Hormuz, they're now bringing ships behind Lavak Island, which is close to the Iranian shoreline, so they can claim they are going through territorial waters and therefore charge them a toll. The president has said that is totally unacceptable. And by the way, the other things that Tony Schafer just mentioned are absolutely true. They are unconditional demands by the United States to get rid of the highly enriched uranium and to have no further uranium enrichment. The two sides are so far apart from each other, Edie. I am really not sure that we are going to get to an agreement. Plus, you've got Kalibov inventing new conditions as he goes along. Now he's saying the ceasefire should be including Lebanon. And if it doesn't, he's not going to meet with the Americans. I mean, I don't think the Iranians have taken the true measure to President Trump.
This is, though, kind of the behavior we have seen in the past. I mean, for decades from Iran. Colonel Schafer, unlike Venezuela's Maduro, who might have been granted asylum, you go to Russia, Turkey, Cuba, somebody's going to take you. No one wants the Iranian regime. So other than killing or imprisoning all of them, how does any other organization or person come to power there?
Well, that's the problem. And Tim's written several books on this issue about Iran. So the Iran is a theocracy, Edie. They have a belief that they are the chosen disciples of Allah. So they have this messianic belief that somehow they can change the rules, as Tim just said, just kind of make things up on the fly, and it's okay. It's not okay. And I think they're going to have to face a reality where an additional military force may be necessary. And I don't think we want to see the country destroyed. We want to make sure the Iranian people understand we're trying to help them, not hurt them. Right. But the theocracy is the issue. And the theocracy is probably going to have to pay some more consequences before this is all said and done.
Yeah, and Ken, I was thinking about this. Are there any viable face-saving off-ramps that the U.S. can propose in Islamabad that allows Tehran to declare, dramatic victory at home, but still we can permanently dismantle the domestic uranium enrichment program?
In 3 days, I don't think so. In 2 weeks, I don't think so. I was listening to John Kerry the other day, and he was going after Trump for not having given the Iranians enough time. He said, we gave them 4 years. We negotiated for 4 years. That is the Iranian speed of negotiations. President Trump is not going there. He is not going to negotiate for 4 years. He's not going to negotiate for 2 weeks. The Iranians are going to have to make really serious concessions, and I just don't see them doing that.
Yeah, Colonel, I heard Kerry's comment, and what they ended up with was this, grand deal that didn't seem to stop Iran at all. So we have gone through this a number of times. We've talked and talked and talked. And as you mentioned, they'll say, oh, these are the demands. And then as soon as you start coming a little closer, then they add in something else. Just like Lebanon, they said, okay, Israel and Lebanon are still facing military action between the two of them. So the whole thing is off and we're shutting down the shipping again. So I don't see a way to get around that very quickly. And these Islamabad, they're attempting to bridge the gap between the temporary crisis management and then a permanent resolution. But what diplomacy initiatives really can ensure security there?
Well, the threat of the big stick, as you just mentioned, and Tim did too, it's like the whole joint framework that John Kerry had used was simply a hardened path to ensure the Iranians got to a nuclear weapon just off of the Obama watch. So that cannot be permitted. There has to be some level of an understanding, and this has to be something that the Iranians understand, that we're not going to sit back and let them kind of meander down the road. What they're trying to be, and I think it's insane, they want to try to get to the midterms thinking somehow if something happens in November, they're going to be spared, and they're not. We've got at least 2.5 more years of Donald Trump. Donald Trump will dictate what happens, and as Tim said, it's not going to be 2 weeks. It's not going to be 2 years. It's going to be a lot quicker.
I think you hit it right on the top of the nail there, because that is exactly what their posturing seems to indicate they think is their long game. Tony and Ken, thank you so much for being with us.
Thanks so much.
Thanks, E.D.
Yep. Coming up.